What's going on, YouTube? We are live, and I'm going to be talking to you today about my wild bachelor party. So, last week I had my bachelor party. It was wild. It was thrilling. It was a bit dangerous. And most of all, I'm most appreciative I had a beaming smile ear to ear, or at minimum, a huge grin. So why was it so good? No, if you're thinking about that, there was no drinking, no alcohol, no lewd women, none of that stuff. But it was nonetheless one of the most incredible days I could ever imagine. So today I want to talk to you about why my bachelor party was so good, and also deconstruct the elements of what made this day so good, so I could repeatedly, and you could repeatedly, have kick-butt days just like my bachelor party. To kick things off and to conserve time, I'm only going to share one story from my party, which it kind of epitomizes the entire day. So it was nearing the end of the day, and me, my friend Scott, and my brother Paul see this ride called Zero Gravity. From a distance, it looks pretty much like a standard water park ride, only a lot bigger and with skinnier tubes. So we start walking up the base of the ride, and we find out it's super long, windy wooden steps that we're continuously walking up. I mean, it feels like we're starting to lose oxygen. It's so high. And as we're nearing the top, my brother points to the left of me and says, "Wait a second, look at that blue tube. How it's like completely 90 degrees. How is that even possible? What's going on here?" That when we saw a water park tube, that was a complete drop. I mean, there was no angle there. It definitely seemed like it. Our anxiety levels started to ratchet up quite a lot. When we finally got to the top, there was one man in front of us, and the ride park operator walked him to stand on this gray pad, and behind him was a metal backing. Once the man was on the gray pad, the ride operator closed a small glass in front of him to completely encapsulate him like a silo. And then you heard from the loudspeakers, ba-bum, 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 as if our hearts weren't frightened enough, weren't loud enough. And then all of a sudden, a mechanical voice goes, 3, 2, 1. Whoosh. The great floor is actually a trapdoor. It lets out below him. He slams his hands on the glass as if to desperately try to save himself, but to no avail. He goes plummeting into the abyss. And then about 15 seconds later, the ride operator says, "Who's next?" Obviously, the three of us are standing there with great trepidation. But a voice came inside me that said, "Step up, set a new standard, be a leader, defy the odds." I knew I had to go. I said, "I'm next. Let's do this." So I walked right into the gray pad. He closed the glass silo in front of me. The countdown began. 3. At 3, I was thinking how proud I am for stepping up. I felt like George Washington on his white horse, leading his troops into battle. 2. By 2, I started to get nervous again. 1. At 1, an epiphany washed over me. It said, I'm probably not going to die in this ride. So really, the best... And the other thing is, there's no way out at this point. It's happening. I'm trapped. The only thing I could really do at this point is take a few deep breaths and let it happen. Stop resisting the present moment. 1. I take a few more deep breaths. I hear myself breathing. I surrender to what is. And whoosh, I go plummeting into the abyss. A torrent of water floods over me, and I am dashing. I go around again, and then the ride's over. And I froze because my mind was trying to catch up with what my body just experienced. It was that intense. I mean, there was water gushing at me. I couldn't open my eyes. The whole thing seemed like a blur. It was an incredible rush. And then my brother and my friend came out shortly after, and we all agreed it was the greatest ride there. Now, why was that ride so great? And why was my bachelor party so great, which that ride was basically a reflection of? If I break it down, it's for a couple reasons. One, connectivity. I went to my bachelor party with 4 diverse, wild friends and my brother. And we were bantering, smiling, having a great time the entire time. But imagine if I went to that water park by myself. That day would have been downgraded. It would have been downgraded from outstanding, one of the best days ever, to merely kind of cool, if that. Connectivity is like everything. Connection is what really makes life so meaningful. Or I should say, one of the few reasons why life is so meaningful. And I'm going to explain a couple more right now. The other theme of that day was boldly venturing into the unknown. Just like the old Star Trek series that says to go boldly to where you've never gone before. By me being courageous, by me trying new things I've never tried before, even just going to this water park that none of us have ever gone before. It was Action Park or Mountain Creek, just in case for those who are curious. So by us doing this for the first time, exploring, venturing, and going on rides that were very intimidating, but coming out alive, that made us feel amazing. I think the only difference between going to the water park and real life is the feedback loop. Because you go on a scary ride, you go out and you're done with it, and you feel great right after. In real life, to do scary things that are good for you, normally they take longer. The feedback loop is not so fast. Lastly, the other element that's here is, let me think for a second. Don't have my notes in front of me. So connectivity, courageous, being present. I think that ride and many rides, people chase thrills because they just want to be in the present moment. Because when you're basically on adrenaline to go on these rides and you're using your, it's basically you're forced to be in the present moment. You're forced to pay attention. You're forced to really be super alert because it feels like you're in danger, even though you're really not. People do so many things to get in the present moment. Some of them are healthy, like deep breathing, meditating. Some of them are not very healthy, like drugs, and I'm sure you could think of many others. But rides and a whole bunch of other things, or just conduits to the present moment. And the last thing I want to leave you with is gratitude. I mean, you wrap those strings up in a nice little bow tie. The only reason why I was at that bachelor party, I had a bachelor party, is because I'm getting married to the most beautiful, supportive woman I could imagine. And it's amazing that I also have these friends that are supportive, and I support them. And there's a lot to be grateful for. There's a lot to smile about. So I totally recommend going on an adventure. And I suggest to you, find a deeper meaning for the things you do. If you get really happy about something, think about what was so great about it so you could also have repeated, awesome, amazing days. Thanks for listening.